ya. So today into yang shibjebenaliya, sanje kisung kokju chu, kangshi tesum kiyo, te tongba ni tente, dini kona ichi chas. Sanje kisungbe, sung nalola, ngaranzolo kodo kyodeba manguchi yungyorda. Tawa di ribye chugorda. Ta shilu kokju yine, yang ribye chugudwa. 롱을 땡겨야 돼. 롱도 지었으면 타고 싶으면 죽어로다. 자, 저는 인도산에 간다 리뷰 오케이. 자사가 저는 인도 가서 주대. 자, 저는 인도산에 또 간다 있니? 네, 상지 유승도 고주고 처리야. 태송산에 더 된지 아니 땡중 데코나 다 땡중 사들다 니체나도 시다 되게. 대토네 아니 다 시고래 신송샤들이야. So today Hindu 공부를 주기 dom직견이 배지 시중이다. 땡진 저번 중에 교화의 순저지 제버서 못돼 송샤요.
So because of this, we read in Aryadeva's 400 stanzas where he says that someone who has a certain skeptical views about particular aspects of the Buddha's teaching that remain obscure to you needs to approach those teachings first by cultivating the understanding of the truth of emptiness, particularly in terms of dependent origination. And based on that understanding, one will then be able to understand the other aspects of the Buddha's teaching, because those aspects of the teaching that are hidden to us, we cannot approach them directly. We need to infer through reasoning, and that reasoning has to be grounded upon a deeper understanding of the meaning of emptiness. And similarly, in Nagarjuna's Sukrela friendly letter, Nagarjuna makes the point that the teaching on dependent origination is really like the treasure of all the teachings of the Buddha. It represents the treasure.
That thing is the talk has level yeah, this one, Shibjebenang, the Hoksado. Lulu 지신도 띠무꾼을 내교대스 대신 배박꾼이 말해 가서 룰루 띠무꾼을 내교대 나 가서 대신 요모 탐정이제 띠무 좀 줄었어 어느 띠무 좀더 건졌어 좀 거랬을나 댄신 잡은 중앙아 토너 띠무 중민주 대신 배박꾼이 늘 땀도 통만 내버차 소샤 다 냠내는 수자유인데 다 냠내는 거 다들 안다 봐 남샤 셰셔 소자다 구조구도 시도 봐 다들 말 봐. 렁규 차당 매버 소쇼나 차당 싸워 머리를 투여하래스 머리부터 띠무 댄지가 머리를 투여하래스 다 디세야티 댄중 대코는 시에버 니코네 타네 세과지레스 다 디주지디 야 반대 처자게 디나라 동리 따와도 송다 만자레디 로다도 찍버리 딥도 표준 땜버군 미준차도 제니 칠스 대공발레 다뉴에 라라사고 세븐이었어. 타버트에 시작도.
So
친지말로 올로디야 폐요나 친지로 올로디 드야디 춘이레스. 송샤죠.
So then the question is, what does all of this teaching got to do with our, everyday aspiration of wanting to overcome suffering and achieve happiness? And here, Aryadeva makes a very important point. He says that just as the faculty of body permeates all our sensory organs, in the same manner, ignorance really permeates our, all our kind of perceptual modalities. So therefore, in order to gain freedom from ignorance, we really need to cultivate the wisdom of dependent origination and emptiness. And therefore, so in other words, Aryadeva is not saying that the teaching on emptiness has to do with a dispassionate description of a reality out there, but rather it has direct relevance to our own quest for happiness and overcoming of suffering. So therefore, Aryadeva says that one should, because the wisdom understanding emptiness and dependent origination is the only path that would help overcome ignorance. Therefore, one should really engage in what he calls the discourse on dependent origination alone. And then, so how does cultivation of this insight, this wisdom of dependent origination and emptiness, come to eliminate ignorance? This is the process is described in Dharmakirti's Pramanavartika exposition on valid cognition, where he explained the law of nature, as which I referred to earlier, that how in the mental domain, different opposing forces, they relate to each other in such a way that when you kind of decrease the force of one side, the other side comes to naturally kind of become more increased. So it is through this kind of relationship, by cultivating the perspective of the wisdom, that one will gradually come to erode the influence and the perspectives of ignorance, and in this way attain liberation. And that process is explained in Dharmakirti's text.
So this explanation, you see, give us some kind of sort of this whole structure of Buddha Dharma and the concept of liberation. You see, through thinking this line, then you see you get some sort of conviction. Oh, there is possibility to eliminate all sort of the wrong views. Like that the wisdom side sort of to some kind of liberate our mind out of ignorance. Then that sort of wisdom, the becoming more forceful, that is that Takushala.
So in order for that wisdom to become powerful and forceful, then it requires the complementary factor of the skillful means, the method aspect.
Now that is the infinite altruism. With the help of wisdom, you already get some kind of sort of understanding. There is possibility to eliminate all these wrong view, which is ultimate causes of suffering. So once you see that sort of understand, develop, then you can develop genuine sort of sense of concern of others' well-being. They all sentient beings want, just like me, want happy life, sort of happy future. But they do not know what's the real causes of this suffering. So once you see the possibility of overcome suffering, yet just, you see, they become slave of this ignorance, then you can develop genuine sense of concern with help of wisdom. There. Just, you see, compassion without knowing these things is something like wishful thinking. Right? Once you see you develop this sort of understanding, the final destination, possibility to overcome these things, then the compassion is something, whether achieve immediately or not, possibility is there. All sentient being, difficult to say. Even text say, call time is or that. Call time years or call time miss. So
even in the Buddhist texts themselves, whether or not the entire realm of sentient beings, the cycle of existence, will ever come to become empty, there are two perspectives. Some say yes, some say no. But in relation to individual sentient beings, then of course each and every sentient being has the potential to gain true freedom, liberation.
No. So the next sort of the point is, I think what is the mind briefly sort of mentioned. Then training the mind, the possibility of change. There is nature. Therefore, training of mind becomes relevant, possible. Then the motivation, compassion. That's more sort of detailed explanation here. Now, 18, page 18. Wisdom, that already I mentioned. Now, in order to, now the wisdom, there are three types: hearing, or wisdom, or understanding. Hearing.
Understanding derived primarily through hearing and study.
Now, this moment, some of you already now hear something. So, some sort of understanding, some knowledge. Then, after you return and have lunch, then some rest, then think more seriously. And not only one day, weeks, months, then you get some kind of deeper understanding, the point which you already heard, as a result of your own
thinking, reflection.
The first level of understanding, the outside, someone tell you, oh, this Dalai sort of explanation is not
not true.
Or nonsense, okay. And someone say, oh, other one. Oh, then you may feel, oh, maybe. So after days and weeks and months, sort of analyze further, then you develop some kind of understanding with conviction. And someone say, oh, this is nonsense. Then you, openly you may reject or not. And as my own sort of story, you see someone, try to bring conviction in my mind about Creator. Or that one particular sort of Hindu religion is the best religion of the whole world. They always say, this kind of emphasis importance of world peace. World peace can achieve only through their own faith. That's difficult to accept. Right? That's unrealistic. So therefore, you see, once you develop some kind of conviction or deeper understanding out of your own sort of analyze, that now second level of understanding. Then that now familiarize further. Now here,
So here, the practice of cultivating tranquil abiding or calm abiding becomes very important.
No, although this practice of single-pointed mind, this is common. Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, all common. And then also, I heard ancient Christian tradition also, you see, practice single-pointed mind. I heard some Greek Orthodox church, some monastery in there. I heard they still carry that practice. So if anyone have the opportunity to visit there, I heard only male, not female.
Allowed.
One monastery in a rocky area, I heard. So in any way, so it is common. Many traditional religions. I think Sufism also, you see, some practice single-pointed sort of mind, like that. So this is common. But now here, in order to become Buddhist practice of single-pointed mind, they cultivate Gyamdro.
Taking refuge in the three jewels.
Then the Tenzin Priyadarshi.
And then in order to make one's practice a practice of Mahayana practitioner, then one needs to also reaffirm the bodhicitta, the awakening mind.
So then detailed explanation here already, yeah. Then vipashyana, with the help of the shamatha, your then wisdom, as I mentioned earlier, really, since our mind have developed ability to concentrate single-pointed way, then say half an hour, hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5, 6 hours, then real sort of effect on our mind can develop. According to the tradition, then here practice of shamatha with according deity yoga, and also you see visualize the veins and different centers in our body. That also helpful. Go like that. That way, then practice of wisdom that way. Then the last that is called the Salam Trayati. This is just Salam Trayati. Through that way of practice, what you
attain
step by step. That's usually I describe a mantra of Heart Sutra, Dayatha, Gade, Parangade, Parasamgade, Buddhi Swaha. So that's the step by step. This very sort of the movement is very level. We are through training, one step, further step. Through that way, eventually, this person, this very mind, eventually can be as omniscient, enlightened mind. So then that being become Buddha, like that. So according to these teaching, our final destination is Buddhahood. It may take eons, but doesn't matter. Better to start now, like that, isn't it? And then also, Nagarjuna mentioned, I think, very sort of very logical sort of advice. Life become sort of mentally complete, sort of relax, and feel a meaningful life. Then time is not matter, not important. Too much sort of frustration, too much worry, too much suffering. Even minute really matter. That's Nagarjuna say. So therefore, once we develop such sort of understanding, the deeper reality, then also motivation, think, limitless sort of sentient being, then each day, your body, speech, and mind dedicate well-being of other. And if possible, serve, help other as much as possible. If not, restrain harming them. Through that way, your life become meaningful life. And each day, each sort of night, when we go to sleep, we feel, oh, today, at least I had some sort of service to other. And at least today I never harm other. That goes days, weeks, months. Then you feel, oh, my life, lead meaningful life. Then at the end, death, you feel, kasota.
No regret.
Satisfied.
That is satisfied.
No regret. Then all the merit you already sort of
Gained.
got.
Gained.
And then that automatically bring next good life. So, and also some sort of traces of this life's practice automatically come next life. So that the that factor, I also is telling people, I doubt whether I'm the same person, the 13th Dalai Lama or not. But one thing quite sure, my previous lives also have some study about Buddhist philosophy. So reason, like him, used to spend many years, really days and nights, sort of rigorous study. My case, as a lazy student, not that much. But I think understanding what these sort of complicated sort of philosophical sort of points, without much sort of rigorous sort of study, perhaps my knowledge not very bad. My tutor always encouraged me, your mind quite sharp. Every point you mentioned, there always there are reasons. Because 군대에 지금 송시오질 때 참으로리에 듬zem에 붙이냐 말이지. 산 리디어 송기.
So,
아니 주고 님은 지금 중에 다가고 또보시 동비시 시위 유심시 다 림불 메타고 난게난 저 잡아 송어리.
So,
날 기울으죠.
someone
난게난 저보다 안 돼 차요 말이지. 이네 기울으죠.
so Holiness was talking about his experience of his own personal tutor, the senior tutor. Often in discussing with him and sharing what his own understanding is with the tutor often said, you have a very sharp mind and every point you raise always comes with background thinking and reason. And then one day, His Holiness was saying that he was sharing his own personal understanding of Nagarjuna's teaching on emptiness. And the senior tutor was so impressed and said that, wow, that's wonderful. Soon you're going to be a yogi of emptiness. And, His Holiness said that although he has not been the yogi of emptiness yet, but potential seems to be there.
So this, of course, there's some sort of what's the indication, the past life sort of what's the acquaintance, such a subject. So my previous life, not English speaking, so still. Of course, according to my dream, one very, very vivid dream, many years ago, actually at Buddhagaya, one night I dreamt very clearly and strong feeling I was prisoner in Egypt. So perhaps one time I born in Egypt. Maybe, of course, this nobody knows. So like that. In any way, my point is that this life, some practice there, the traces of that influence, that impact goes next life. That's quite sure. And then through that way, life after life, 100 lives, 1,000 lives, 100,000 lives, million lives. So these traces, once we start sincerely and constantly, because of think this every day, then that goes eons, then finally Buddhahood. Is it unrealistic or realistic? What do you think?
Okay, sir.
Thank you.